frenemies, Nate Draconator here. Well, you all really enjoyed my Evil Spotted Leaf Talk video. I was surprised to see just how many people requested I do a similar video with my Aldershadow AU, but hey! I love that one, and I'm hyped to get more into it like this. So for the Aldershadow AU, the premise of it is mostly laid out in my PMV. You were loved. Since Alderpaw is now the protagonist in Avos, and Bramblestar has become a bit stale, I think, I'm tweaking him a bit in canon, from canon. Alderpaw suffers from anxiety. His overthinking problems and general nervousness make that really clear. It hampers his ability to function on a day-to-day basis. He's having difficulty keeping up with his peers and hasn't been able to catch anything while hunting and is falling behind in battle training. However, his sister Sparkpelt has far surpassed him and seems to be good at virtually everything she does. Bramblestar is so proud of her, but embarrassed by Alderpaw. He's also having a massive difficulty connecting with his children because after it was revealed that the Power of 3 kids were not his biological children, and then one immediately died, only to later reveal she was not dead, only to die again, was pretty upsetting for him, and he's emotionally walled himself off from getting close to his children again. Needlepaw and Alderpaw find Twigkit and Violetkit, and nothing changes until the night when the trade is made at the gathering. Alderpaw is aggressively empathetic and is almost trying to be the father he doesn't have, but knows these kids need despite still being a child himself. He sees Violetkit and Twigkit sobbing as they're pulled apart, and he has this, pure moment of clarity. Alderpaw was told that StarClan sent Jayfeather a prophecy that he was meant to be a medicine cat. ShadowClan has no apprentice medicine cat, and Little Cloud is sick and not long for this world. ThunderClan doesn't need 3 medicine cats, but these 2 kits need ThunderClan. And he steps forward and shoves himself through the wall of his anxiety, the legs quivering, and he yells into the clearing for it to stop, to take him instead. To trade himself and to become ShadowClan's new medicine cat if Rowenstar will release his claim on Violetkit. And Rowenstar says okay. And Bramblestar says okay. Now, this is essentially where my PMV ends, but my concepts and ideas for how this situation would evolve continue. Alderheart chooses his own name because he doesn't want to be named by cats who are no longer his mentors, or by a cat who didn't teach him anything. He chooses Aldershadow as a grim reminder that he can't go back. Puddleshine is allowed to be a warrior like he wanted and isn't forced to become a medicine cat, and Aldershadow is there when Darktail takes over ShadowClan. Needletail gets him in on the plan, and at first Aldershadow thinks that this is a terrible idea, that Darktail is evil and a murderer. Absolutely not. But then Needletail convinces him that they'll let Darktail kick out Rowenstar, but then the other clans will never stand for that, and they'll come and be rid of him, and so Darktail will get kicked out, and Rowenstar will get kicked out. So ShadowClan gets a new leader, Aldershadow gets to go back to ThunderClan if he wants, and bada bing, bada boom, everybody wins. Only they really, really underestimate Darktail. Now, people in ThunderClan didn't like Alderpaw, but what they dislike more than a bad hunter is a leader so callous towards a clanmate that he would trade them to another clan. Tensions are high in ThunderClan, with all the cats very unhappy with Bramblestar, none more so than Sparkpelt. And oh, she is furious. In that moment, Sparkpelt went from love to fury. Sparkpelt loved Aldershadow, even if he was terrible at everything and kind of a downer sometimes. He was her brother, her littermate, and their father treated him like he was nothing. So while Needletail begins to orchestrate a coup in ShadowClan, Sparkpelt organizes her own in ThunderClan. Eventually, in this massive mutiny in ThunderClan, Bramblestar is defeated and Sparkpelt is staring down at him. Maybe there's fire, which would be cool. I imagine the story happens as a hard parallel to what's happening in ShadowClan, and Darktail kicking Rowenstar out happens at the exact same time Sparkpelt kicks out Bramblestar. But Bramblestar looks around him and he realizes that even Squirrelflight, tears in her eyes, has sided with their daughter against him. And he realizes in this moment that he has become his father and let his apathy and grief consume him and make him hurt others. It wasn't enough just to not be a murderer. He had to actually be good and kind, and he hadn't been. Bramblestar is exiled from ThunderClan and attempts to seek refuge in ShadowClan only to meet up with Rowenstar. They both seek refuge in RiverClan and begin making plans to take back their leaderships. Meanwhile, Sparkpelt is sort of unanimously agreed upon to take over as the new leader. She at first is like, okay, Mom, I guess it's up to you now. And Squirrelflight is like, no, Sparkpelt, it was you who set things in motion to right ThunderClan. This was meant to be. You're going to be a great leader of ThunderClan, like your father used to be. And Sparkpelt decides to make Ivypool her deputy, because she really just should be deputy. So Rowenstar and Bramblestar are back at RiverClan, and at first they're both like, hell yeah, let's take back our clans. But, as time goes on, Rowenstar still believes he had done nothing wrong and made no mistakes, and Bramblestar begins to see the errors of his ways. He realizes that he had caused his own downfall, and that there were times he could have made better decisions. He becomes less inclined to take back his clan, and he more wants to simply request he be allowed back as a regular warrior, that StarClan had clearly allowed his daughter to upstage him because it was the right thing to do. However, Rowenstar is unable to face his own mistakes, and continues to believe that all the faults lie at the feet of the stupid, rebellious apprentice Needletail. Double, meanwhile, Needletail and Aldershadow back as Shadow Clan are absolutely living in hell. Darktail's nightmare fascism plays out pretty similarly to how it does in the books. After Rain's death, in the horrible stress of the situation, when they could die at any moment, Needletail and Aldershadow get together. They think they're in love, but it's like a desperate, panicked situation. And Aldershadow also feels like having a mate when he's a medicine cat is a small way to rebel against the shitty hand he was dealt. Like, StarClan chose him for this, but what did he do to deserve it? It seems cruel, unjust, and unfair, so why follow rules made for him by cruel, unjust, and unfair gods? At some point, Needletail's original intentions come out, and Aldershadow realizes that she never actually intended for Darktail to be unseated and him to go back to ThunderClan. She wanted to completely destabilize clan culture, and she wanted Darktail to be leader. She doesn't now, obviously, but she had lied to him. Aldershadow is furious at her, and they break up. Needletail is in like a frenzy at this point. All her friends are dead, or Sleek Whisker. Rain is dead, Aldershadow isn't talking to her, and Darktail's grip around them grows tighter every day. There's starving prisoners in camp, and it's horrific. It's nightmares. She has to do something. She finally breaks and decides that Darktail being here was her fault, and she has to do something about it. She tries to escape to retrieve help from ThunderClan, but is captured by Sleek Whisker. She's thrown in jail to starve, and Aldershadow decides he has to poison Darktail's food if he wants to save her. Sleek Whisker sees and tells Darktail, and in the middle of the night, the both of them are dragged to the lake. It's this moment where Darktail has them both in the water that they look at each other and realize at the same time that they aren't in love, not romantically at least, but there's different ways to need and love people, and they do need and love each other, and all the tension melts away, and they think they're about to die. So back in ThunderClan, Sparkpelt has decided ThunderClan needs to rid the forest of Darktail once and for all. The rogue has been a nuisance, and it's time to get back ThunderClan's medicine cat. She keeps making excuses when people ask when she's going to the Moonstone, but she doesn't yet. She begins plans to invade ShadowClan, but before they can, RiverClan is attacked by the Kin. And when Misty Star and the rest of her clan take refuge in ThunderClan, Bramblestar and Rowenstar come with them. Bramblestar and Sparkpelt meet alone in the leader's den to decide his fate. He apologizes for failing her both as a leader and as a father, and says that he wishes to return to ThunderClan as a warrior and nothing else, and that she had the courage to do the right thing, even when it meant going against him, which makes her the better cat to lead. Finally, Sparkpelt is able to allow herself to go to the moon pool and receive her 9 lives, becoming Sparkstar. Brambleclaw becomes a warrior again and prepares for the invasion of ShadowClan. Rowenstar is still a salty brat. SkyClan shows up because that happens. Shenanigans occur, too many people are in ThunderClan, and when the massive army of everyone who isn't in the Kin attacks them, it's the moment Needletail and Aldershadow are being held in the lake. They both close their eyes, ready to go, and BAM! Cats burst from the trees, and Darktail and Sleek Whisker are forced to abandon their prisoners and retreat. The battle rages, and eventually he's kicked out, but finally Sparkstar and Aldershadow are reunited. Needletail and ShadowClan are saved. Rowenstar steps forward to re-enter ShadowClan's camp, but a tree falls suddenly between him and the entrance. It's a sign from StarClan. He has lost the right to lead, not because of his poor decisions, but because even after seeing what happened, he refused to acknowledge that he had been a part of what allowed it to happen, and refused to consider what changes in himself or in his clan needed to be made for its safety. He didn't step down all wishy-washy like he did in the books. He is essentially banished by StarClan. Everyone is all, who is leader now? And Aldershadow gets like a vision that StarClan has already chosen a leader for ShadowClan and that they merely need to be patient. So Tawnypelt takes over as interim leader of ShadowClan because she deserves it until Tigerheart Star shows up, and Aldershadow chooses to stay in ShadowClan because they need him. They have no other medicine cat. He promises to visit though, and Sparkstar at first is upset, but she realizes now that this is his decision he is making because he wants to, not because it's being forced upon him. They hug and part ways while the clans rebuild after Darktail's nightmare. And that's basically Aldershadow AU in a nutshell. It's a lot less Violet Shine and Twig Branch centric, but they will still be there, and probably the protagonist characters whose POV we follow. But Sparkstar's leader, Brambleclaw's learned a lesson in humility and retired from leadership. Aldershadow's the ShadowClan medicine cat. Tawnypelt got to be leader for a little bit. Rowenclaw is banished. Needletail lives, ton of stuff happens all willy-nilly all over the place. I hope you enjoyed this little AU breakdown. I really like this one, but I really haven't been able to do, like, a lot with it. If you have any other AUs of mine you want to hear more about, let me know. That's it for this one. And I'll see you next time. Naders out.